Good morning.
Dobro jutro. Svima u sudnici i oko nje. Prije nego što započnemo sa radom, ima li razloga zašto sam ovo pronašao na mom stolu? Ne? Dobro. Molim sekretara da najavi predmet. Dobro jutro, časni sude, ovo je predmet IT 0475T, tužilac protiv Gorana Hadžića. Sudac, hvala, molim da se strane predstave. Prvo optužba. Dobro jutro, časni sude, za optužbu danas Douglas Stringer, Stella Clinton, stažistica Ana Kostić i referenca predmet Toma Loželu. Hvala. Gospodine Živanović, a za obranu? Dobro jutro, časni sude. Obrana Gorana Hadžića, Zoran Živanović i Christopher Gosnell sa gospođom Negoslavom Smiljanićem, koja je naš referenca predmet i tu je također i naša pravna savjetnica Lijen Arončik. Sudac, hvala. Gospodine Stringer, vi imate nešto za reći? Optužba, da, časni sude.
We had been asked.
Par stvari. Od nas je zatraženo da damo odgovor optužbe na nekoliko podnesaka koje je obrana podnijela u posljednjih nekoliko dana, a koje se odnose na dodavanje dokaznih predmeta na njihov popis po 65 ter. Pa bih sada htio ukratko izložiti vijeću naš stav o tome. Poslali smo sinoć e-mail pravnom savjetniku vijeća u vezi sa prvim zahtjevom koji se odnosi na nekih 49 predloženih dokaznih predmeta. Predsjedavajući sudac, gospodine Stringer, ako nemate ništa protiv, prije nego što počnemo, ja imam par stvari za reći, par odluka za iznijeti, pa ću vas onda tokom tog izlaganja zamoliti da iznesete vaš stav po tim zahtjevima. Optužba svakako, ispričavam se. Sudac, hvala.
Just one moment, please.
Samo trenutak, molim vas. Imamo manji tehnički problem.
It's solved.
Dobro, riješeno je.
Before the defense commences.
Prije početka dokaznog postupka obrane, vijeće se mora pozabaviti sa nekoliko preliminarnih pitanja. 23. svibnja 2014. godine obrana je dostavila korigendum i adendum svojim dokumentima po 65 ter, gdje između ostaloga traži dopuštenje da doda 47 dokumenata na svoj popis dokaznih predmeta. Obrana tvrdi da su ti dokumenti omaškom ispušteni sa popisa dokaznih predmeta koji je dostavljen 13. svibnja 2014. godine, kao i to da su ti dokumenti objelodanjeni optužbi. Optužba nije iznijela nikakve argumente u vezi s tim zahtjevom obrane. Vijeće se uvjerilo u sljedeće. Uzimajući u obzir konkretne okolnosti ovog predmeta, činjenicu da je obrana svoju grešku ispravila unutar 10 dana od dostavljanja dokumenata po pravilu 65 ter, kao i činjenica da se optužba tom zahtjevu ne protivi, vijeće se dakle uvjerilo da je u interesu pravde da se predloženi dokumenti dodaju na popis. Zahtjev obrane se ovime udovoljava. 1. srpnja obrana je dostavila zahtjev da dopuni svoj popis dokaznih predmeta po pravilu 65 ter, tako da doda još 214 dokumenata. Od njih 49 dokumenata trebaju se koristiti s gospodinom Hadžićem tokom njegovog svjedočenja, pa je zato obrana zamolila da se to riješi, taj dio riješi ekspeditivno. Optužba je rekla da će usmeno odgovoriti na taj zahtjev ovdje u sudnici. Gospodine Stringer? Optužba, hvala časni sude. Dakle, kad je riječ o tih 49 dokumenata, mi smo vašem pravnom savjetniku sinoć poslali jednu elektronsku tablicu u kojoj iznosimo naš stav o svim dokumentima za koje imamo prijevode. I u najvećoj mjeri, mislim, tome ne protivimo, imamo par prigovora. 26 dokumenata su dokumenti za koje nemamo prijevod. Nešto od tih prijevoda je sada pušteno u sistem. Vidio sam da je to obrana pustila jučer poslijepodne. Ostaje dakle još 26 dokumenata za koje nismo imali prijevode i još ih uvijek nemamo. Naravno, mi želimo dobiti priliku da pregledamo prijevode i da onda obavijestimo vijeće o našem stavu. I to može biti u ponedjeljak ujutro. Sudac, hvala gospodine Stringer. Gospodine Živanović, vi želite odgovoriti? Obrana. Mi imamo zahtjev za prijevod ovih dokumenata. Zahtjev je trenutno u toku. Sudac, hvala. Vijeće će kasnije iznijeti odluku. 2. srpnja obrana je dostavila još jedan zahtjev za izmjenu svog popisa dokaznih predmeta u kojem traži da doda jedan dokumentarni videofilm pod naslovom Jugoslavija, rat koji se mogao izbjeći, a koji namjerava koristiti tokom uvodne riječi. Optužba je obavještena o toj namjeri obrane zajedno sa kopijom video snimke 14. svibnja i rekla da bi danas ujutro mogla usmeno odgovoriti na zahtjev. Gospodine Stringer, možete li vi to učiniti? Optužba, da, časni sude, nemamo prigovora na to da se taj dokazni predmet doda na popis dokaznih predmeta obrane. Mislim da je broj 1D03612. Međutim, mi bismo se usprotivili tome da se taj dokazni predmet primi u spis, ukoliko je namjera obrane da tokom uvodne riječi to ponudi u spis. Ja naravno ne znam da li je to njihova namjera ili ne, ali u svakom slučaju, časni sude, mi smo tu video snimku pregledali, imamo neke prigovore na nju. Ona sadrži narativne izjave neidentificiranih ljudi koji iznose svoje opise povijesnih događaja, od kojih mnogi izlaze van okvira ovog predmeta, od kojih bi se mnogi mogli okarakterizirati kao tu kvokve, od kojih mnogi idu sve i do Drugog svjetskog rata. Nešto od toga odnosi se na događaje u Srebrenici. I ja mislim da bi neki gledaoci mogli zapravo stvoriti utisak da se u ovom video dokumentarnom filmu zapravo poriče ono što se dogodilo u Srebrenici. A to u svakom slučaju nema nikakve veze s ovim predmetom. Predsjedavajući sudac, u ovom trenutku govorimo samo o dodatku na popis po 65. U ovom trenutku ne govorimo o tome da se to vrsti u spis kao dokaz. Optužba, da, shvaćam, ali htio sam vas na to unaprijed upozoriti. Ja neću iznositi prigovore tokom uvodne riječi, ja ne želim prekidati mog uvaženog kolegu tokom svoje njegove uvodne riječi. Međutim, imamo dakle neke rezervacije u vezi sa tim dokumentom i nekim aspektima toga da se to koristi tokom uvodne riječi. Sudac, hvala. Gospodine Živanović? Obrana. Časni sude, mi ćemo se ograničiti u ovoj video snimci samo na one njezine dijelove koji se odnose na Hrvatsku. Radi se o prvi 47 minuta, a ne o cijeloj video snimci. Predsjedavajući sudac, hvala. Vijeće smatra da obrana nije pokazala zašto je došlo do propusta da se ne izvrši dužna revnost kad je zatražila dodavanje ovoga na popis po 65R. Međutim, vijeće također konstatira da je taj video jedan dokumentarni film otvorenog izvora i da je optužba obavještena na namjeru obrane da se njime koristi još 14. svibnja. Vijeće shodno tome dopušta da se ovaj dokument doda na popis po 65R u interesu pravde. Vijeće sada prelazi na početak dokaznog postupka obrane. Na predobrambenoj konferenciji obrana je tražila 30 do 45 minuta da gospodin Hadžić iznese izjavu u skladu sa pravilom 84 bis odmah nakon uvodne riječi obrane. Ona je također potvrdila da će nakon toga gospodin Hadžić svjedočiti tokom 30 sati kao svjedok u svoju obranu u skladu s pravilom 85c. Vijeće daje gospodinu Hadžiću odobrenje da iznese izjavu po pravilu 84 bis u trajanju od najduže 45 minuta. Gospodine Hadžić, vaša izjava treba biti ograničena na pitanja relevantna za ovaj predmet. A isto tako morate imati na umu i dignitet ovog postupka kao i zaštitu koju su dobili drugi koji su se pojavljivali pred ovim sudom.
Mr. Hadžić, you have asked to...
Gospodine Hadžić, vi ste zatražili da dobijete pravo da svjedočite također u svoju obranu. Tada ćete morati dati svečanu izjavu. Vi imate mogućnost da to odbijete bilo kojem trenutku prije nego što počnete svjedočiti. Hoćete li sada potvrditi da vi i dalje želite svjedočiti u svoju obranu?
Potvrđujem da ću svjedočiti u svoju obranu.
Thank you, Mr. Hadžić.
Hvala, gospodine Hadžić. Vijeće će sada obavijestiti strane o redoslijedu postupka. Obrana će prvo iznijeti uvodnu riječ. Nakon toga će gospodin Hadžić iznijeti svoju izjavu po pravilu 84 bis.
Conclusion of the statement.
Nakon toga, gospodin Hadžić dat će svečanu izjavu kao svjedok i početi svjedočiti. Glavno ispitivanje trajat će 30 sati, kao što je to tražila obrana. Nakon toga će optužba obaviti unakrsno ispitivanje, a obrana će imati prilike za dodatno ispitivanje nakon toga. Suci mogu postavljati pitanja u bilo kojoj fazi postupka. I stranama u postupku dat će priliku da razjasne ili stave u kontekst svako pitanje koje eventualno može proizaći iz takvih pitanja sudaca.
Mr. Živanović.
Gospodine Živanović, imate riječ za uvodnu riječ. Obrana, hvala časni sude. Obrana će izvoditi dokaze koji će pokazati da Goran Hadžić nije niti individualno odgovoran, niti kao nadređeni u odnosu na navode optužbe koji se tiču zločina protiv čovječnosti i ratnih zločina počinjenih u Hrvatskoj između 25. svibnja 1991. i kraja 1993. godine. Gospodin Hadžić također nije odgovoran za trajno uklanjanje Hrvata i drugog nesrpskog stanovništva iz velikog dijela teritorije Republike Hrvatske putem počinjenja zločina kojima se krše članovi 3 i 5 statuta. Obrana će iznijeti dokaze da nije postojao nikakav udruženi zločinački poduhvat
indictment
između gospodina Hadžića i osoba navedenih u 10. paragrafu optužnice. Gospodin Hadžić nije s njima sklopio nikakav sporazum i nije imao namjeru da trajno ukloni nesrpsko stanovništvo s teritorije SBZS, odnosno RSK. Dapače, on nije počinio niti jedan od zločina koji se terete u optužnici i zaslužuje da ga se oslobodi svih optužbi.
prosecution witnesses
Obrana je, već i u svojim dosadašnjim unakrsnim ispitivanjima, osporila dokaze nekih svjedoka optužbe. Sada ćete čuti direktne dokaze o tome da su oni lagali ovom sudu u relevantnim dijelovima svojih svjedočenja. Najočitiji slučajevi neiskrenosti koje će obrana pobijeti su GH30, GH03, GH07, GH10, GH116, GH044, GH15, GH16, GH23, GH34, GH26, GH124, GH135, GH154, GH102, GH027, GH110 i GH28.
We shall also prove that some documents
Također ćemo dokazati da su neki od dokumenata uvrštenih u spis lažni.
statement
Od prvog dana suđenja, još u svojoj uvodnoj riječi, optužba je pokušala oslikati gospodina Hadžića kao jednog silovitog čovjeka sa mračnim planovima da naudi nesrbima.
to know
Međutim, kad ga vi tokom dolazećih tjedana budete upoznali i vidjeli njegovu osobu, vidjet ćete da je on običan čovjek koji voli svoju obitelj. Bivši skladištar u jednom malom selu u Slavoniji zvanom Pačetin, u kojem je 1991. godine živjelo manje od 1000 ljudi. On je bio čovjek koji se brinuo o rapidnim političkim promjenama u svojoj zemlji, koji je stupio u jednu lokalnu stranku i koji je onda lansiran na svoj položaj nizom događaja van njegove kontrole. I to će zauvijek promijeniti njegov život. Vi već znate mnogo toga o njegovom hapšenju na Plitvicama 31. ožujka 1991. I kako su ga ti događaji stavili na svjetla pozornice na način na koji on to nije mogao predvidjeti. I obrana će izvoditi dokaze o tome da se gospodin Hadžić vrlo često nalazio u situacijama koje nije mogao kontrolirati niti u potpunosti shvatiti i nije imao potrebne informacije. Čak i običan čovjek poput gospodina Hadžića mogao je vidjeti što je počelo događati dok se Jugoslavija počela raspadati. Kao i mnogi drugi Srbi u Hrvatskoj, i on je bio frustriran i bespomoćan i uplašen kada je vidio koliko nasilja ima protiv Srba, na način na koji se diskriminira protiv njih na radnim mjestima, kako se oni zlostavljaju i teroriziraju. Narastajuće napetosti početkom 90-ih, koje su se mogle pratiti u medijima u cijeloj zemlji, podsjetile su ga na njegovog djeda, kojeg su ubili pripadnici fašističkog režima u Drugom svjetskom ratu. Njegov otac bio je partizan koji se borio u Drugom svjetskom ratu i sjećanje na njega bilo je baš kao i sjećanja na mnoge druge hrvatske Srbe, od kojih su mnogi imali pripadnike obitelji koji su propatili u prošlim vremenima. To nisu sjećanja koja ljudi olako mogu odbaciti ili zaboraviti. Gospodin Hadžić nije imao kuda pobjeći. Sve što je imao bilo je u Pačetinu. Njegova kuća, njegova zemlja, njegov posao, njegova sjećanja. Nije mogao prihvatiti budućnost u kojem bi on i njegova obitelj morali živjeti u strahu. I zato je poduzeo akciju. Nažalost, kasnije će saznati da je sudbina srpskog naroda u SBSS da ne ostane u Jugoslaviji već bila zabečaćena. U to vrijeme on se još uvijek hvatao za nadu da bi se mogli boriti i fizički opstati tamo. 1990. godine gospodin Hadžić stupio je u jednu političku stranku i počeo se baviti politikom u svom selu. Nadao se da će iznutra promijeniti sistem i to na legalan i miroljubiv način. Obrana će ovdje dovesti svjedoke koji su kao pripadnici vlade iz prve ruke mogli vidjeti da je gospodin Hadžić tražio politički kompromis putem pregovora. Govorit će o tome kako je on postao član višenacionalne stranke SDP koju je vodio hrvatski političar Ivica Račan. Djelomično i zato jer je politička platforma te stranke bila da se nastoji Hrvatska zadržati unutar Jugoslavije. Gospodin Hadžić ušao je u politiku upravo iz tog razloga da se sačuva status quo, da on i njegova obitelj budu sigurni. Kada je, međutim, rukovodstvo SDP-a napustilo svoju projugoslavensku politiku, gospodin Hadžić ih više nije mogao podržavati. Stupio je u SDS, jedinu političku stranku koja je ostala na raspolaganju, a koja ima platformu očuvanja Jugoslavije. Dapače, bila je to jedina politička stranka u Jugoslaviji koja je štitila prava i Srba i Hrvata.
Hadžić.
Odbrana će dokazati da je gospodin Hadžić učinio najbolje što je mogao da bi se rat izbegao i da bi se zadržala radna i funkcionalna veza sa hrvatskom vladom. Časni sude čućete od samog gospodina Hadžića i drugih svedoka dokaze koji se odnose na to da kada se gospodin Hadžić sastao sa pokojnim predsjednikom Hrvatske, Franjom Tuđmanom, i kakve su bile njegove druge komunikacije i pregovori sa članovima hrvatske vlade, kao što su Degoricija i drugi. Primetit ćete da je njegov napor da komunicira i pregovara bio nešto što se nastavilo i posle njegovog hapšenja na Plitvicama i pošto su ga pretukli hrvatski policajci u zatvoru, čak i pošto je on od svih ljudi možda imao dobar razlog da izmeni svoj pristup. Pa ipak i dalje je ostao na putu miroljubivog razrešenja. Na tom putu blokirali su ga tek tada kada je Hrvatska proglasila svoju nezavisnost. U uvodnoj reči tužilaštva čuli ste, časni sude, jednostrano tumačenje raspada Jugoslavije. U toj uvodnoj reči preskočen je istorijski kontekst koji je od ključnog značaja, kao i kontekst događaja koji su opisani u optužnici. Stoga ćete sada čuti iskaze niza svedoka koji su radili u ministarstvima vlade ili su pravni eksperti, a koji će vam obrazložiti taj kontekst. Ukratko, časni sude, ukoliko se postavite na mesto nekoga ko je živeo u bivšoj Jugoslaviji 1991. godine, vaše razumevanje događa bit će drugačije ako uzmete u obzir da je Hrvatska rešila da se odcepi od države i pokrenula oružanu pobunu protiv ustanova sistema. Predsjedavajući sudija, gospodine Živanoviću, odbrana je. Izvolite. Predsjedavajući. Prevodioci napominju da nemaju primerak vašeg uvodnog izlaganja. Odbrana, nažalost, ja im to nisam obezbedio, to je tačno, predsjedavajući. Da li bi možda neko iz vašeg tima mogao da ispravi to? Odbrana, možda bi trebalo da napravimo pauzu, pa da onda to učinimo, predsjedavajući, u redu.
Mrs. Ivanović,
Predsjedavajući, gospodine Živanoviću, predstavnica sekretarijata predlaže da vaš referent za predmet to pošalje njoj, pa će to onda biti prosleđeno prevodilačkim kabinama. Slažete li se? Odbrana? Da. Predsjedavajući, hvala.
I think an attachment to
Predsjedavajući, mislim da bi bilo možda lakše ako biste poslali to kao prilog e-mail poruke. Nemate internet, nemate pristup internetu, dobro onda.
Okay. Okay. The statement will be copied.
Dobro. Izlaganje će biti iskopirano u roku od nekoliko minuta i zatim ćemo ga podeliti prevodiocima. U međuvremenu, gospodine Živanoviću, možete nastaviti, ali da kažemo da pričate polako kako prevodioci ne bi imali nikakvih poteškoća da vas prate. Izvolite, odbrana, izvinjavam se.
I repeat the last sentence.
Ponovit ću poslednju rečenicu. Stoga će sudsko veće imati prilike da čuje iskaze niza svedoka koji su radili u ministarstvima vlade, kao i jednog istoričara, jednog demografa i jednog pravnog eksperta koji će vam obrazložiti taj kontekst. Ukratko, časni sude, ukoliko se postavite na mesto lidera bivše Jugoslavije, u poziciju u kojoj su oni bili 1991. godine, razumećete da su događaji bili takvi da se Hrvatska odcepila od države i počela oružanu pobunu protiv države koja je još uvek postojala i njene vojske. Ono što je važno jeste da je u uvodnoj reči tužilaštva izostavljena ključna razlika između Jugoslavije i Hrvatske 1991. godine. Jugoslavija je 1991. godine bila međunarodno priznata država, članica Ujedinjenih nacija i inače predmet međunarodnog prava. Hrvatska je bila samo teritorija unutar Jugoslavije. Ako neka teritorija jednostrano proglasi nezavisnost, bez obzira da li se to zasniva na referendumu ili je to posljedica odluke njihove skupštine od 25. juna 1991. godine, ne čini od te teritorije tek tako jednu nezavisnu državu. Naravno, to bi svakako moglo da predstavlja prvi korak ka nezavisnosti, ali ne i konačni korak. I svakako to ne bi moglo odmah da stupi na snagu, ni lokalno, ni po međunarodnom pravu. Šta više, kao što ćete videti iz video snimka koji ćemo prikazati, časni sude, analitičari su predvideli da će pokušaj Hrvatske da se odcepi od Jugoslavije verovatno da se završi nasiljem. Za to vreme Jugoslavija je taj referendum, odluku Skupštine i događaje koji su usledili smatrala činom secesije koji je bio protivan njenom tadašnjem ustavu. Sa te tačke gledište, takav postupak predstavljao je napad na suverenitet i teritorijalni integritet države kao celine. savezne vlasti, uključujući tu JNA, dakle vlasti saveznih organa, federalnih jedinica, lokalne vlasti i svi građani još uvek su imali ustavnu obavezu da brane teritorijalni integritet Jugoslavije. Prema tome, angažovanje JNA od samog početka sukoba predstavljalo je legitimni čin države koja štiti svoj teritorijalni integritet. Odbrana će pokazati da je JNA bila prisutna u delovima Hrvatske tokom čitave 1991. godine i u prvoj polovini 1992. godine, da bi tamo obavila svoje zakonske dužnosti u naporu da se sačuva država koja se velikom brzinom raspadala. Zahvaljujući prisustvu JNA na područjima koja su bila nazvana SAO Krajina, SAO Zapadna Slavonija i Srem, kasnije poznatim kao Republika Srpska Krajina, u vreme oružanog sukoba značilo je da je vojska ima potpunu kontrolu nad teritorijom, materijalnim resursima i ljudstvom na tim teritorijama. To će važiti na svim teritorijama na kojima su jedinice JNA bile prisutne sve do povlačenja JNA u junu 1992. godine. Odbrana će sudskom veću prikazati naređenja i pravna dokumenta vojnih sudova i organa bezbednosti JNA koji će definitivno dokazati da je JNA imala de facto vlast na tom području. Već smo videli jednog visoko rangiranog oficira JNA, generala Životu Panića, koji je rekao da su Željko Ražnatović i Vojislav Šešelj te njihovi ljudi bili odgovorni za problematične događaje. Tužilaštvo je u svojoj argumentaciji kao i u optužnici prešlo preko ovih priznanja generala Panića kojima su optuženi stvarni krivci i šta više izbeglo da pomene sva vojna lica koja su se nalazila na tom području, a koja su aktivno komandovala i rukovodila svim jedinicama tokom 1991. i 1992. godine. Ona vojna lica koja je sudsko veće do sada imalo priliku da čuje, prebacila su odgovornost na lokalne hrvatske Srbe. Tužilaštvo je takođe zanemarilo da uzme u obzir i proglašenu nezavisnost Hrvatske, bilo da je time zaista stvorena nezavisna država, a da nije bio samo politički čin. Odbrana će pokazati da je zbog rezultata glasanja srpskog stanovništva koje je odlučilo da ostane u Jugoslaviji, posledica bila ta da su Srbi bili izloženi nizu organizovanih i sistematskih nasilnih događaja kako bi se njihovo protivljenje neutralisalo ili barem umanjilo koliko je to god bilo moguće. Izbacivanje Srba iz Hrvatskog ustava 1990. godine bio je prvi korak posle koga je sledilo masovno otpuštanje Srba iz Hrvatske državne administracije, prvenstveno iz policije, čime su Srbi lišeni državne zaštite. Srbi su se osjećali ugroženo, budući da su u medijima prikazivani javni skupovi na kojima su držani antisrpski govori i korišćeni antisrpski simboli, amblemi i pevane pesme iz vremena nezavisne države Hrvatske koja je bila državica pod kontrolom nacističke Nemačke. Korišćenje ovih simbola podsjetilo je Srbe na užase koje su njihovi roditelji ili generacija njihovih deda i baba preživeli tokom Drugog svjetskog rata, samo zato što nisu bili Hrvati ili katoličke vere. Posle ovih skupova koji su imali za cilj da zastraše srpsko stanovništvo, usledilo je i uništavanje srpske imovine. Uz sled fizičkog naselja, Srbi su nestajali, zadobijali povrede ili bivali ubijani. Prisustvo i politički uticaj Srba u Hrvatskoj bili su u velikoj meri smanjeni i to je uticalo na događaje koji su usledili. Odbrana će pokazati da je usled ove strategije do 14. jula 1991. godine već postojao broj od 11.867 srpskih izbeglica, a u narednih 6 nedelja ovaj broj povećao se na 77.000. Suprotno dokazima, izvinjavam se, ove izbeglice poticale su iz Hrvatske, budući da rat u Bosni i Hercegovini još uvek nije počeo. Značajan broj došao je iz Vukovara i sa teritorije Slavonije, Baranje i Zapadnog Srema, zato što tamo nisu imali odgovarajuću zaštitu od nasilnih napada. U uslovima anarhije, nasilja i haosa samo su savezne vlasti imale ovlašćenja da spreče masovne napade i zaštite građane. JNA je bila jedina savezna sila koja je bila prisutna u Hrvatskoj. Hrvatske snage stoga su primenile drugu strategiju napada. One su neutralisale JNA time što su opkoljavale komande, jedinice, objekte i vojna lica. Sistemi komunikacije i veze kojima je JNA raspolagala bili su presecani kao i linije dotura. Napori hrvatskih snaga bili su efikasni. Neke od ovih jedinica JNA su se predale, druge su pružile otpor. Napadi su bili nezakoniti, a JNA je imala i pravo i dužnost da pruži otpor i da se bori protiv svojih napadača. Odbrana će stoga izneti dokaze koji će na istiniti tačan način prikazati događaje koji se opisuju u pasusima 24 do 38 optužnice. Stoga se napadi na JNA i njene počinjene jedinice u Hrvatskoj tokom 1991. i 90. i 91. godine treba pravilno shvatiti kao oružanu pobunu na teritoriji međunarodno priznate države. Vojska te države, uključujući sve organe vlasti i građane, imali su pravo i u pravnom smislu bile u pravu što su odgovorile silom na ove napade. Napadi su bili takvi da je odgovor na njih bio legitiman i iz tačke gledišta vojnih komandanata i civilnih lidera koji su u to vreme bili na svojim položajima, a što je suprotno tvrdnjama tužilaštva da je cilj bio da se trajno uklone Hrvati i drugo nesrpsko stanovništvo sa relevantnih područja. Od gospodina Hadžića čućete da njemu nije bilo poznato da postoji bilo koja druga vlast na teritoriji bivše Jugoslavije koja bi stajala iza takve politike. Gospodin Hadžić je u svom svojstvu kao predsjednik Slavonije, Baranje i Zapadnog Srema, odnosno predsjednik njene vlade, nije podržavao niti pomagao bilo koju poziciju po kojoj bi meta napada namerno bilo nesrpsko stanovništvo. U svakom slučaju, svuda su vršeni i zločini protiv bilo koga bez obzira na nacionalnu pripadnost na način koji vlada nije u potpunosti mogla da kontroliše koliko god da se trudila. Tužilaštvo smatra da je trenutak u kome se formira neka vlada onaj trenutak od koga svaka vlada ima i sve resurse, ljudstvo, zakone i osnovne ustanove koji su neophodni da bi ta vlada bila legitimna, funkcionalna i u mogućnosti da ponovo uspostavi red i mir. Međutim, takva tvrdnja je naivna i nije realna. To je slično kao kada bismo očekivali od vlade Iraka da počne savršeno da funkcioniše dan posle svrgavanja Sadama Huseina. Realnost je bila takva da je novo formirana vlada gospodina Hadžića bila lišena osnovnih resursa, nije imala ni osnovna sredstva kao što su telefoni, pisaće mašine ili papira, kamoli odgovarajuće ljudstvo, snabdevanje ili obuku koju bi pružila svojim ljudima. Lokalna civilna policija morala je da se suoči sa potpunim bezvlašćem i haosom rata. Vidjet ćete, časni sude, da je uprkos tome vlada gospodina Hadžića sprovela niz krivičnih istraga iz kojih su proistekli brojni policijski pravni dokumenti kojima su optuženi Srbi zbog zločina koji su počinjeni protiv Hrvata i drugog nesrpskog stanovništva. Ovi dokumenti definitivno će pokazati da su gospodin Hadžić i njegova vlada nastojali koliko god su mogli da primenjuju zakon i da kazne počinioce krivičnih dela bez obzira na njihovu nacionalnu pripadnost u jednoj situaciji koja je bila veoma nepovoljna. Ovi dokazi direktno će potkopati tvrdnju tužilaštva da je gospodin Hadžić svakako imao nameru da se počine krivična dela protiv suseda i da je to bio deo nekog šireg plana u situaciji raspada države i oružanog sukoba. Odbrana će sudskom veću prikazati jedan videofilm pod naslovom Jugoslavija, rat koji se mogao izbeći. On je na engleskom sa titlovima na BHS-u. Nažalost, u ovom trenutku nemamo transkript teksta. Ovaj video sadrži prisjećanje mnogih međunarodnih državnika, stručnjaka i novinara koji su učestvovali ili pratili događaje u bivšoj Jugoslaviji i Hrvatskoj i oni govore o relevantnim događajima. Ovaj video snimak traje 47 minuta.
Night after night, television brought images of death and suffering from the war that engulfed Yugoslavia between 1991 and 1995. When the fighting stopped, NATO countries, particularly the United States, eagerly claimed credit for ending the war. The lesson learned, many said, was that there should be early intervention in ethnic conflicts, and preferably by NATO. But did the West prematurely take credit for ending a war it had helped create? Did misguided Western intervention actually transform a small brush fire in the Balkans into a major civil war?
I think that what the international community on the whole, the Europeans and the Americans and the United Nations have done, on the whole, made it sure there was going to be a conflict.
The intelligence community was unanimous in saying that if we go ahead and recognize Bosnia, it will blow up.
Because there was no agreed branches and because everybody was armed, if you ruptured the old Yugoslavia by unilaterally declaring independence, in fact, seceding was a war of secession. Once you decided to secede, you had no hope that it could be done peacefully.
Early 1990 had brought a brief moment of hope and optimism to Europe as the Berlin Wall crumbled and the Cold War ground to a halt. A newly united Germany stood poised to unite the rest of Europe through its leadership of the European Community, a friendly but powerful rival to the United States. But the promise of European unity was short-lived. Just 2 years later, much of Yugoslavia was in flames. A small war in the Slovenian Republic led to larger, more bloody conflicts in Croatia and Bosnia-Herzegovina. Moreover, European nations, the United States, and Middle Eastern states were backing different factions in these outbreaks of civil war. Publicly, Western diplomats blamed irresponsible ethnic leaders of the different Yugoslav republics for the bloodshed, including Milan Kucan of Slovenia, Franjo Tudjman of Croatia, and especially Slobodan Milosevic of Serbia. There was certainly no innocence among the warring parties. Privately, however, European Community envoy Lord Carrington and UN mediator Cyrus Vance were furious at Germany's foreign minister Hans-Dietrich Genscher. Vance would later call the conflict Mr. Genscher's War because of Germany's push to recognize separatists in Slovenia and Croatia.
Vance argued that recognition would take away the diplomatic leverage that he had to try to bring the conflict in Croatia to an end and could possibly result in Bosnia blowing up.
The former German foreign minister claimed that his government did not support the breakup of Yugoslavia until fighting began.
We held a strong position for the unity of Yugoslavia, as I said, but we saw that the will to keep it together vanished more and more under the pressure of military events.
In fact, however, since the 1960s, Germany's intelligence arm, the BND, was deeply involved in the training of Croatian separatists, led by the pro-Nazi Ustashi who fled to Germany after World War II, and participated in a number of terrorist actions against embassies and the government of Yugoslav communist leader Josip Broz Tito.
In the early 60s, the BND decided to cooperate fully with the Ustasha. This became plain to see after the so-called Croat Spring in the beginning of the 70s. After Tito's death, they accelerated their efforts, together with the Ustasha, in order to disintegrate Yugoslavia into several smaller states.
Germany's crucial role in supporting Croatian separatists is confirmed by Anton Duhacek, the former director of Yugoslav counterintelligence, who was himself a Croat.
The Germans wanted an absolute and complete subordination of Croatian intelligence that would carry out all that the Germans wanted. And the Germans promised that this would be in the interest of the future independent, free Croatia.
On the surface, Yugoslavia seemed better off than its East European neighbors in the 1970s and 80s. The U.S. considered its independent communist leader, Josip Broz Tito, an asset in the Cold War with Moscow. Yugoslavia's economy was propped up with Western loans even after Tito's death in 1980. The carefully staged 1984 Olympics in Sarajevo offered the world the impression of a peaceful, multi-ethnic country working together. Veteran observers, however, could see trouble below the surface.
I think the first hint I got of a violent breakup was when I made a tour of all of the republics in 1983, and I heard a lot of sort of separatist sentiments in several of the republics, especially Slovenia and Croatia, but not only. And some very threatening remarks were made in the course of my conversations about what we would do to them and so on.
By themselves, neither Slovenia nor Croatia had the diplomatic or military power to actually separate, to challenge Yugoslavia's federal army, which was the fourth largest in Europe. But Germany provided not only diplomatic support, but also weapons, even after an international arms embargo.
And I wrote a story about it, which was called The Blockade's a Joke. So I went and started checking the ports, like Split and the ports along the Dalmatian coast, and as best I could, checking the stuff that was coming across the borders, and there was no limitations.
We saw a Croatian MiG-21 shot down in the Krajina, which the Croatians said came from former Yugoslav Air Force stocks. In fact, it was clearly from East German Air Force stocks. It had the East German radar warning receivers on board. So we know that these weapons are coming from the former East German stocks, so that they're, if you like, slightly disguised in the sense that they don't look like West German weapons, but they are coming from West Germany, obviously with the West German government's blessing. There can be no other way in which heavy weapons can be supplied like this.
While separatist forces were being armed, Germany was, at the same time, warning the Yugoslav government of Ante Marković not to use force against separatists. Ante Marković, who was himself a Croatian, presided over a divided government which was unable to stand up to German pressure or rally his government for the challenges ahead.
He never lined up, coalition support. He always flew solo. So, he could be welcomed in the White House, and was, but he didn't have any backing at home. So, in that sense, he was a real failure, and a disastrous one in that he preserved the fiction that Yugoslavia was holding together.
The Yugoslav Federal Army, which held the country together, now became a target for those who wanted to break it apart. At a Croatian separatist rally in Split in May of 1991, demonstrators strangled a young soldier of the Federal Army and then tossed his dead body onto the street. This and similar events seem to bear out predictions by the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency.
The CIA said in 1990, October, that Yugoslavia faced breakup, probably violent, as early as 6 months from the time of the report. And nobody paid any attention to it in the higher echelons of government.
By June of 1991, however, U.S. Secretary of State James Baker decided to make one attempt to prevent a disaster. He flew to Belgrade, the capital of Yugoslavia, to confront leaders of the 6 republics.
He said, don't any of you take steps that are not agreed on by the others.
However, Milan Kucan and Franjo Tudjman, leaders of the Slovenian and Croatian republics, were confident that they could ignore the U.S. Secretary of State. They declared their independence just days later, on June 25th, because they could count on the support of German Foreign Minister Genscher and Austrian Foreign Minister Alois Mock. The cycle of violence which would destroy Yugoslavia began when Slovene President Milan Kucan ordered his troops to seize customs posts on the Yugoslav borders with Austria and Italy, and the Slovene capital of Ljubljana. Yugoslav flags were taken down and replaced with Slovenian flags.
And the Slovenes thought they had a right to take down those flags. The end of an internationally recognized frontier. And I don't think that for a moment Belgrade expected there would be violent resistance.
To avoid violence, Yugoslav Army General Andrija Rašeta had phoned Milan Kucan privately to let him know that many Yugoslav Army troops responding to this challenge of federal authority were not even carrying live ammunition.
But in fact, the Slovenes had prepared themselves. They were getting a lot of encouragement from across the way, from Vienna and from the Germans too. And they foresaw that they could make a very big international case by having what they called a war of independence. It was nothing of the sort.
German Foreign Minister Hans-Dietrich Genscher flew to the Austrian border with Yugoslavia to join President Kucan and warned the Federal Army against efforts to maintain control of federal borders. Kucan ordered his forces to fire on Yugoslav Army troops, including those who carried no live ammunition. Faced with international opposition led by Germany, Yugoslav President Marković ordered the Federal Army to withdraw from Slovenia without a serious attempt to counter separatist forces. Slovene leaders conducted a masterful public relations effort. Foreign reporters were kept occupied in an underground press center with briefings that suggested that Slovene forces had defeated the 4th largest army in Europe. Journalists in the press center routinely reported as news fanciful briefings from Slovene officials on various battles, including some that had never happened.
What was going on in Slovenia, where the Slovenians declared independence and set up customs posts on the road, tended to be seen and portrayed on television as the Yugoslav army acting aggressively against Slovenia as opposed to the Slovenians declaring independence.
The manipulation of the foreign press corps set the tone for new wars of secession in Croatia and Bosnia. Repeatedly, the JNA was described as an occupying force dominated by Serbs. The reality was different, however. The Army's Chief of Staff, Veljko Kadijević, was half Croatian, half Serb. Air Force Chief Zvonko Jurjević was Croatian, and the commander of the Navy, Stane Brovec, was Slovenian.
And the Federal Army had held Yugoslavia together under Tito without creating any protests about human rights. Tito insisted on an ethnic balance, and in the localities it was composed of the people of that area. It was absurd to call it an army of occupation. And we, the West, should have recognized it until there was an agreed arrangement for a dissolution of a state which had been Yugoslavia and which might take years or decades or perhaps be impossible. Until then, it had to be recognized these were the internationally recognized frontiers.
If German and Austrian leaders still believed that Slovenia and Croatia could be separated from Yugoslavia without a wider war, the Americans strongly believed otherwise.
Because we said, if Yugoslavia does not break up peacefully, there's going to be one hell of a civil war. It nevertheless broke up non-peacefully. It broke up through the unilateral declaration of independence by Slovenia and Croatia and the seizing by these two countries, republics, of their border posts, which was an act of force and which was an act that was in violation of the Helsinki principles. But the European powers and the United States ultimately recognized Slovenia and then Croatia and then Bosnia as independent countries as and admitted them to the United Nations. The real problem was that there was a unilateral declaration of independence and a use of force to gain that independence rather than a peaceful negotiation of independence, which is the way it should have happened.
While most of Europe, including England, France, and Russia, opposed the breakup of Yugoslavia, only the Americans were strong enough to oppose Germany. In a decision that would have far-reaching consequences, however, the Americans decided to back away from this challenge. George Kenny, who would later resign in protest over policy, was running the U.S. State Department's Yugoslavia desk at the time.
Our marching orders were to keep the U.S. out, to avoid taking any responsibility for a solution to the conflict. The analysts could see that the problem would get a lot worse. They also saw that the Europeans weren't going to be able to handle it.
Historically, the United States had supported a multi-ethnic Yugoslavia over a 70-year period to stabilize the region and serve as a barrier to German expansion. In reality, Yugoslavia, a union of South Slavic peoples, would never have come together in 1918 without American support from U.S. President Woodrow Wilson. For centuries, the region had been colonized by Austro-Hungary and the Turkish Ottoman Empire. The Austrians, under the Habsburg monarchy, used a policy of divide and rule to maintain control, keeping the Slovenes, Croatians, Serbs, and Muslims at each other's throats, instead of uniting them in their common interests.
The Habsburg Empire kept going and held down a large part of what we came to call Yugoslavia. There was no possibility of a Slav get-together until after the First World War, when the Austro-Hungarian Empire collapsed and the peoples came together and decided to unite.
With American support, Yugoslavia was founded in 1918 and survived German attempts to divide it up during World War II. When Yugoslavia's communist leader Josip Broz Tito broke away from the Soviet Union and the Eastern Bloc in 1948, the U.S. stepped in with military assistance as well as international loans to prop up a buffer state between the West and the communist-dominated Warsaw Pact. As the Cold War came to an end, however, Washington declared a new world order which emphasized economic competition rather than anti-communism.
So once that containment of the Soviet Union began to disappear as a need with the decline after mid-80s, Gorbachev's economic reforms, the NATO Warsaw Pact, talks about reducing arms and force buildup, all of that led to Yugoslavia being essentially irrelevant in its defense posture. And by early 1989, the Americans were really quite explicit. The new ambassador to Yugoslavia from the United States informed the Yugoslav government that the Yugoslav position was no longer needed, that it was no longer, Yugoslavia was no longer strategically important to the United States and Western defense.
Yugoslavia had become expendable. International loans were called in, causing triple-digit inflation. The federal government was forced to require austerity measures from the different republics.
Particularly those requirements led Slovenia as a republic and eventually other republics to rebel against what was being called economic reform in the constitutional level.
Any American efforts to preserve Yugoslavia would also put Washington on a collision course with Germany when German leaders were enjoying their first taste of real political power since World War II. Moreover, U.S. President George Bush had declared a special relationship with Germany, the kind America used to have with England.
The United States thought that Germany would have to be largely responsible for the incorporation of Eastern Europe and Central Europe into the West, because Germany had a national interest, it was its neighbor, its periphery, and it was financially the most powerful country in Europe and had the resources to do it.
In the post-Cold War period, Germany wanted, once again, the evidence is very clear, to recolonize Yugoslavia, to recolonize the Balkans. And the United States tied itself to German policy through its need of German power and influence in stabilizing Eastern Europe, Western Europe, through the exercise of dominion via the European Community, now the European Union, and potentially, eventually, in the former lands, in the lands of the former Soviet Union. The problem was that there was one very important country standing in the way of this, and that was Yugoslavia.
While citizens of Croatia were initially divided over whether to remain in Yugoslavia, the separatists were led by the most extreme elements, remnants of the pro-Nazi Ustashi. As the New York Times columnist A.M. Rosenthal would write, in World War II, Hitler had no executioners more willing, no ally more passionate than the fascists of Croatia. They are returning from 50 years ago from what should have been their eternal grave, the defeat of Nazi Germany. Adolf Hitler considered Yugoslavia to be an artificial creation of the hated Versailles Treaty, which ended World War I. To break it up, he set up a puppet state, an enlarged Croatia, which also included Bosnia-Herzegovina. As its leader, he appointed the fanatical Croat Ustashi Ante Pavelić. Pavelić had helped plot the assassination of King Alexander, Yugoslavia's first constitutional monarch, in Marseille, France in 1934.
And it was the Germans, the German Nazis, who picked out this dreadful Ustashi leader who had made quite clear that he favored Hitler's solution to be applied, which his final solution for the Jews he wanted to apply to the Serbs. He made no secret of it.
Simon Wiesenthal, who tracked Ustashi fugitives for decades, along with other Nazi war criminals, told an interviewer,
I must admit, I am obsessed by the criminal character of the independent state of Croatia. Even the Germans were appalled by the crimes committed in it.
How many men, women, and children died there? Hitler's special envoy to the Balkans, Hermann Neubacher, wrote, leaders of the Ustashi boast that they have slaughtered 1 million Orthodox Serbs. On the basis of official German reports, I estimate the number to be 750,000. Most of these Serbian civilians perished in the notorious Croatian death camp Jasenovac, which straddled the Sava River between Croatia and Bosnia. The extermination of Serbs, Jews, and Gypsies in Sarajevo was the task of top Muslim leaders who, with few exceptions, collaborated with Hitler and the Croatians.
There was in occupied Bosnia, also under German patronage, a strong Muslim wing which was very anti-Western. It was represented internationally by the Mufti of Jerusalem. You heard of his viciously anti-Western views, and he was brought to Sarajevo and mobbed by enthusiastic crowds.
After the war ended, Croatia and Bosnia were never denazified. Not only were there no apologies to the Serbs, Jews, and Gypsies, but attitudes remained frozen under the surface of Tito's official policy of socialist fraternity amongst peoples. Following the death of Yugoslavia's longtime leader, Tito, in 1980, right-wing émigré organizations took out an advertisement on the opinion page of the New York Times, stating that Yugoslavia would not survive, and offering a map which included all of Bosnia as part of Croatia. It was a map nearly identical to the Nazi-created independent state of Croatia. By 1990, as communism was collapsing in Eastern Europe, Croatian separatists pinned their hopes on a former communist general named Franjo Tuđman, who had been jailed for excessive nationalism by Tito in the 1970s.
You know, I met him very soon after he came out of communist jail, while Tito was still alive. He had then championed the racialist nationalist form of nationalism. And when he came out of prison, instead of doing what you would think a dissident would do and say, to hell with the communists, he said, oh, well, it's nothing to do with the regime. It's those horrible Serbs who are oppressing us, and the Serbs are responsible for everything, and the Serbs are guilty, and the Serbs have done it all.
Tuđman received important help from outside of Croatia in his rise to power.
The German Secret Service was enormously active in Croatia and in all of Yugoslavia, trying in the 80s to build bridges between what were called the national communists, Stipe Mesić, Franjo Tuđman, in Yugoslavia, and the Ustasha revanchist organizations which lived in the diaspora of Croatia, that is to say, all of the people of weight and influence who had fled the former Nazi puppet state in 1945.
Tuđman found it useful to come to terms with them, and because he was running on this xenophobic platform, there was really no difficulty about it. What was difficult was when he was trying to sell his cause in the West, and he managed to, partly because he had a very good lobby, very effective and much more effective than the Serbian lobby, and partly because he covered up his intentions.
Tuđman often embarrassed his most important supporters, such as German Chancellor Helmut Kohl. For instance, Tuđman had written a book minimizing the crimes of the Ustashi and claiming that the Holocaust was greatly exaggerated. "Thank God my wife is neither a Serb nor a Jew," he told one interviewer. For the national flag, Tuđman chose a replica of the checkerboard emblem that flew over the Croatian death camps of World War II, where Serbs, Jews, and Gypsies were exterminated. Tuđman's anti-Semitic views were covered beneath rhetoric acceptable to the West. With the help of Ruder and Finn, a high-powered American public relations firm, the New York Times found space for General Tuđman's new and misleading image on its opinion page. In the article, Tuđman promised that there would be no purges against the Serbian population in Croatia if it separated from Yugoslavia.
Tuđman declared that Croatia was for the Croats. That was his slogan, a racialist slogan. Croatia for the Croats, with the implication people who weren't Croats, and there was a very substantial Serb and Yugoslav mixed variety, didn't feel that they were in fact second-class citizens, and he recognized them as such.
A full 6 months before fighting broke out, Serbs were purged from positions in government, news organizations, and the police. Their homes were dynamited in cities such as Zagreb, Zadar, and Dubrovnik. For the first time since World War II, Serbs in eastern Croatia began to flee across the Danube River.
Serbs working in Croatian cities were required to sign loyalty oaths. Those who did not sign were fired. Those who did sign were fired later. Serb homes, apartments, and businesses were attacked.
Predsjednik Republike Hrvatske, gospodin Franjo Tuđman, dao nam je odobrenje da po prvi put formiramo nenaoružane odrede civilne zaštite Hrvatske demokratske zajednice.
Any doubt that Tuđman himself issued orders for the expulsion of Serbs in Croatia was removed by Tomislav Merčep, a senior member of Tuđman's ruling party, the HDZ. Merčep would later be identified by Croatian police reports as one of 2 Croatian leaders who directed death squads that murdered hundreds of Serbian civilians in eastern Slavonia around Vukovar and Osijek in the fall of 1991. he received little press coverage in the West, but Merčep was, in many ways, the spark that set the fire of war in Slavonia, a disputed region of Croatia where the Yugoslav War began. Merčep's co-leader of the Croatian death squads was Branimir Glavaš of Osijek. Unlike more discreet members of the ruling HDZ party, Glavaš made no secret of his identification with the World War II Croatian Ustaši as he welcomed returning Croatian prisoners of war. While some French intellectuals were hailing Croatia as part of the new Europe, old and familiar forces were at work. Osijek became a magnet for neo-fascist groups fighting with Glavaš. They included British skinheads, German and Austrian neo-fascists, and followers of the French extremist Jean-Marie Le Pen.
C'est comme ça que l'on bâtit l'Europe nationaliste.
Et vous y allez directement après, demain?
Oui, demain nous partons pour Zagreb pour prendre des ordres à l'état-major, mais pas de l'armée croate régulière. Nous allons avec la force de défense croate qui dépend du parti du droit croate, et donc nous partirons quelque part sur le front en Slavonie, je suppose.
The United States, which soon adopted Germany's approach to the Balkans, ignored recent history and offered a simple explanation for the fighting which broke out in the predominantly Serbian region of Croatia, which was known as the Krajina. Assistant Secretary of State Richard Holbrooke, who spent the early years of the Yugoslav War as the American ambassador to Germany, represented what became the official American view.
The Serbs started this war. The Serbs are the original cause of the war.
Those who tried to prevent the war saw it differently.
The Serbs in Croatia, and indeed outside Croatia, had a very vivid memory of what happened in 1941-42, when Hitler declared Croatia as an independent puppet state, if you like, and the horrors that went on there and the murders of the Serbs were still very, I mean, a very large number of Serbs were murdered at that time. I mean, hundreds of thousands. And I think it was very understandable that when Croatia declared its independence and promulgated a new constitution without any safeguard for the 600,000 Serbs who still lived in Croatia, the Serbs were very perturbed about this.
From the beginning, the Serbs were blamed, and they were partly blamed out of ignorance because nobody bothered to look back at the history, to put it within its historical context, and to see why the Serbs who lived in Krajina and the Serbs who lived in the area that is called Bosnia-Herzegovina, why, because of their historical experiences, were so hostile to being under Zagreb or under Muslim Sarajevo rule.
In World War II, Serbs offered the first serious resistance to Nazi Germany on the mainland of Europe. Later in the war, the Serbian royalists, sometimes known as the Chetniks, organized the largest rescue of downed American pilots behind enemy lines. But U.S. relations with the Serbs deteriorated greatly by 1989, symbolized by the stormy relationship between Slobodan Milosevic, the new leader of Serbia, and Warren Zimmerman, the new U.S. ambassador to Yugoslavia.
I think Warren came out of Vienna from his last post as an ambassador dealing mainly with human rights, and his first action as ambassador was to go to Kosovo and embrace the Kosovo separatist leaders. And this automatically offended the relatively new Serbian leadership under Slobodan Milosevic.
By the late 1980s, ethnic unrest in Kosovo had already set the stage for the breakup of Yugoslavia. For Serbs who first inhabited the area in the 7th century AD, Kosovo was the cradle of their civilization, their Jerusalem, and home to their most revered monasteries.
A bit of history, unfortunately, is required here. The Albanians pushed Serbs out in the 19th century. The Serbs started pushing Albanians out around 1904. The Albanians surged back in World War II under Italian protection and pushed Serbs out.
When the war ended, however, Marshal Tito decided to keep the Serbian refugees from returning to their homes in Kosovo. As a result, Serbs lost their majority in the province.
Tito is very guilty of that particular drama of Kosovo. He made it much harder to solve, in fact, almost impossible.
To keep a restive Albanian population within the Yugoslav Federation, Tito's 1974 constitution gave Kosovo autonomy as a province of Serbia. However, the autonomy was badly abused by Tito's Albanian communist cadres, who permitted a campaign of violence to drive out the remaining Serbian population.
Life was made extremely difficult for the Serb minority, and it was here that the Kosovars began to push to have a pure, all Albanian, meaning racially pure, Kosovo in the areas where there were very few Serbs anyhow. They were pushing them out. And the Serbs used the word that it was ethnic cleansing, and that's what it was.
Homes of Serbs were appropriated by Albanians. Orthodox Christian cemeteries and monasteries were desecrated. By the late 1980s, the Serbian population of Kosovo had gone from 50% at the start of World War II to just 10%. At this time, Slobodan Milosevic emerged as the voice of Serbian discontent over Kosovo. Seeking to consolidate his political base in his own republic, Milosevic also spoke for Serbian minorities living in Croatia and Bosnia who feared the emergence of hostile separatist regimes. A lifelong political opportunist, Milosevic was willing to provide limited military support to the Serbs of the Krajina as long as it suited his own agenda. The Serbian leader's maneuvers, however, deepened the chaos that accompanied the breakup of Yugoslavia.
I think he is enormously to blame for his treatment of Western powers from the beginning of 1991. He regarded them as the enemy and he would not talk to them.
While Serbia's president shunned meetings with the American ambassador, separatist leaders were receiving a sympathetic ear from Warren Zimmerman. The American ambassador and his boss, Assistant Secretary of State Lawrence Eagleburger, largely ignored the provocations of separatists in Slovenia and Croatia, who were backed by Germany and focused solely on the Serbs.
The two of them adopted a stance that was, from day one, blaming the Serbs for just about everything. The Serbs were the target of all of the actions of the United States of America from the beginning.
So did American news organizations, whose foreign correspondents relied heavily on the U.S. Embassy for their reporting. Yet the obsessive focus of the press with Milosevic served to divert attention from the role of Western powers in making an avoidable war inevitable. While some Western leaders called Milosevic an architect of the conflict, the first shots of the war had been fired by armed separatists in Slovenia and Croatia, strongly supported by Germany. In hope of heading off disaster, the European community organized a constitutional conference in 1991, led by respected British diplomat Lord Peter Carrington, to find a compromise between those who wanted to separate from Yugoslavia and those who wished to keep it together. The problem was that administrative borders, or internal frontiers, devised by Tito in 1943, left 1/3 of the Serbian population out of Serbia, mostly in Bosnia-Herzegovina and Croatia.
These frontiers were drawn in a very secretive and very, in my view, very irresponsible way by Tito's inner cabinet while the war was still going on. And they were never subject to a public debate or discussion. They were never endorsed.
The idea of giving each republic substantial economic and political autonomy meant that each was a kind of hierarchy of the party, and then there was you had, in order to keep the country together, you had to balance out these political leaders. And Tito was very skillful in playing one off against the other, or in some cases of playing them against their population. It was the substitute for democracy in the way that we know it, but it was also considered by many of his supporters throughout the population as necessary, because To their view, democracy led to national, or as we call them, ethnic parties, and that would then break up the country and lead to civil war again.
As Yugoslavia slid toward civil war in 1991, 2 referendums were held on the same day in Croatia. Croatians voted overwhelmingly to separate from Yugoslavia, while ethnic Serbs, particularly those from the Krajina region, voted by a similar margin to remain within Yugoslavia. A compromise favored by European community negotiators would have permitted Croatia to leave the Yugoslav Federation, but would have permitted the regions where Serbs formed a majority to remain in Yugoslavia or to gain substantial autonomy. Serbs who lived in an independent Croatia would be guaranteed full citizenship and human rights protections. In the capital city of Zagreb, Croatian President Tudjman seemed reluctantly prepared to accept this compromise, which would have prevented a major military conflict. Germany, however, announced it would recognize both Slovenia and Croatia within Tito's administrative borders before the end of 1991. There would be no compromise. The Serbs were bitter that the first act of a newly united Germany would be to divide the Serbs of Yugoslavia into at least 3 separate countries. A crucial opportunity to divide Yugoslavia by peaceful means was now threatened by Germany's action.
It broke up the Constitutional Conference because once you gave 2 out of the 6 republics their independence, those 2 had no further interest in the Constitutional Conference. You had to ask the other republics whether they wanted their independence, which meant you had to ask Bosnia, and it was perfectly plain that Bosnia, there was going to be a civil war in Bosnia if you did do that.
UN Secretary General Perez de Cuellar sent a strong letter to German leaders, warning that recognition would be a disaster. Germany and Austria's own ambassadors in Belgrade privately warned against recognition of Croatia.
The Germans risked being isolated, but the pressure from Kohl's party and from the huge lobby of Croat lobby in the southern parts of Germany, and Bavaria particularly, was such that it was difficult for Genscher to go on postponing the support.
By the time the war started, the German public had already been prepared by the repeated attacks on the Serbs in an influential German newspaper in Frankfurt. The strident commentary of Johann Georg Reismüller, which favored Croatia and reviled the Serbs, any Serbs, all Serbs, reminded Peter Handke of the way Nazi propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels once characterized the Jewish race.
It was the German press, in the form par excellence of the right-wing Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung, and its journalists that fundamentally influenced German policy.
German support for Croatian separatists received an unusual tribute, a musical thank you on Croatian state television.
Danke Deutschland, meine Seele brennt. Danke Deutschland für das Lied der Schein.
Serbian television broadcast Croatia's musical thank you, interspersed with World War II footage of cheering Croatian crowds in Zagreb welcoming Hitler's troops. All sides used propaganda, but Serbian propaganda was aimed at the Serbian population to bolster Milosevic's power base. By contrast, Croatian propaganda was designed to win international support. With the help of public relations firm Ruder and Finn, Croatia successfully used the media to manipulate a larger audience, particularly Germany and the US, to gain support for its separatist agenda. This was particularly evident in the reporting of the war around the resort town of Dubrovnik, a favorite vacation spot for German tourists. Working through its Washington PR firm, the Croatian government managed to convince much of the world that Dubrovnik was being destroyed by the Serbs in unprovoked attacks which lasted for months during the fall of 1991.
The public has been led to believe that the Federal Army attack on Dubrovnik was not precipitated by anything but sheer malice. However, on August 25th of 1991, Croatian forces attacked a base in the Bay of Kotor, on the Bay of Kotor, and they were repulsed with heavy losses.
Yugoslav troops based in Montenegro then fought their way up the coast, confronting Croatian forces near Dubrovnik.
Targets outside the old city were hit, consisting mostly of hotels which had been taken over as barracks and spotter points by Croatian forces, who also put refugees in the lower stories of their own barracks and spotter facilities.
It was obvious that the Croats were using the old town as a defensive wall. They were firing from behind hospitals. They had a mortar position next to our hotel. The final straw for me was when there was this incredible bombardment in our hotel basement. Bang, 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 bang. The worst we had ever heard. And I was furious, and everyone else was panicking. And I said to the manager who was down there with us, I said, I wish you would tell that chap with the heavy machine gun in the floor above to stop firing at the Serbs, because they're going to fire back.
Contrary to news reports, there was little damage to the historic old city.
Yes, it has been reported some 15,000 shells rained on the old city of Dubrovnik. I counted 15 mortar hits on the main street. The Yugoslav Federal Army could have destroyed the old city of Dubrovnik in 2 hours. It is not destroyed.
Washington Post reporter Peter Maas, who visited the old city several months after the fighting stopped, found Dubrovnik in what he described as nearly pristine condition.
There are many people who go to these scenes of mayhem and adventure who don't know where they are, who don't know the languages, cannot really communicate with the people, and who take press handouts from the local authorities. So there is certainly an orchestrated effort on the part of the Croatian and the Slovenian, Austrian, and German media to portray the Serbs as a bunch of howling, Byzantine, uncivilized barbarians.
The facts on the ground, however, mattered little after first impressions had been made. Rather than admit that they had made a mistake, influential columnists on both sides of the Atlantic continued to write that Dubrovnik had been destroyed. Public opinion was tilted against the Serbs and towards Croatia's political goal, recognition as an independent state. These impressions helped strengthen Germany's resolve to lead a reluctant European community to recognize the separatist republics and thereby dismantle Yugoslavia. To overcome British opposition to recognizing Croatia, German Prime Minister Helmut Kohl offered British leader John Major a deal which left Britain free to disregard or opt out of the social provisions of the 1991 treaty creating a unified Europe, which was being hotly debated in the British Parliament. This helped John Major politically at home, but Bosnia would pay a high price. The French, who needed German help to stabilize France's currency, also dropped their opposition to recognizing the separatist republics. The United States, the only power strong enough to oppose Germany, began to waver. Deputy Secretary of State Lorenz Eagleburger, who had once served as U.S. ambassador to Yugoslavia and spoke Serbo-Croat, knew well the dangers of a wider war if recognition were extended before a settlement had been reached between the different ethnic groups.
I think the major lesson here is that when you get involved in something like this with 1,000 years of history underlying it all, you need to understand that once the dam breaks, the viciousness can be pretty awful on all sides.
In the end, here also, peace would be sacrificed for domestic politics. There was an American election coming up.
When we finally went ahead and recognized, one of the reasons we did so was because it had become a major domestic political issue for us here. We have particularly a large Croatian-American community, and Mr. Bush lost most of them in the election that he lost, because they were unhappy with our having delayed as long as we did in recognizing Croatia.
While German actions encouraged the armed secession of Slovenia and Croatia, it was U.S. diplomacy, particularly through Ambassador Warren Zimmerman, which helped light the spark for a war in Bosnia-Herzegovina.
Your Honor, I see the clock and it might...
Vidim koliko je sati. Možda je vrijeme za pauzu. Predsjedavajući sudac, koliko će još vaš video snimak trajati? Odgovor, gotov je. Sudac, gotov je, dobro, u redu. Molim, ustanite.